Thanks for joining me today to do a little yoga flow. We'll be focusing on our breath and nourishing our bodies during this time. I hope you enjoy. We'll start on our backs on our mats. Take a moment to settle here. Enjoy the feeling of your back on the mat. And perhaps place your hands on your belly and start to feel the intake of breath in your body. We'll take 10 deep breaths here, slowing the breath, making our inhales and exhales even. On your next inhale, raising your arms up to the ceiling and then back to the floor below you. Exhaling, returning the arms to the side, starting to match breath with movement. Inhale, rise the arms. Exhale, lowering the arms. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, arms lower. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, arms lower. Inhale, arms rise. Exhaling, staying here, bringing knees into chest. Starting to roll the back of the spine on the mat. Bringing hands around knees, pulling knees to chest. Releasing. Pulling knees to chest, exhaling here. Inhale, releasing. Exhaling, pulling knees to chest. Inhale, releasing. Pulling knees to chest. Releasing. Pulling knees to chest. This time as we inhale, extending arms and legs out. Coming back to our ball. Knees to chest. Inhale, extending arms and legs out. Exhale, pulling knees into chest. Inhale, expanding, taking up space. Exhale, coming into a ball. Last one, inhaling, extending, stay here for 3 breaths. Allowing the inner thighs to open. Maybe rolling back and forth, side to side on the hip bones. Bringing feet to the ceiling, flexing the feet, pointing the feet, flexing the feet, pointing the feet. Lowering left leg to the ground, keeping the right leg extended. Bringing arms to the thigh, or to the calf, or perhaps to the foot. Starting to stretch the hamstring. Bending and straightening this leg. Allowing time for this big muscle to relax and to release. One more breath here. On the exhale, we release the leg to the right, keeping the leg either straight or bent and making sure the left hip stays firmly rooted to the ground. Inhale, returning foot to center, then dropping over to the left, twisting the spine and stretching the right hip and the IT band. Breathing here. Returning foot to center, and once again stretching out that hamstring, bending and straightening or keeping it straight, pulling the foot towards the face. Releasing that leg to the ground, raising the left foot to the ceiling. Again, hands behind thighs or calf or touching your foot, bending and straightening, allowing the hamstring to release. On an exhale, letting that leg drop to the left, keeping the right hip firmly rooted on the ground, and keeping the left leg either straight or bent, whatever feels good for you. Inhale, raising the leg, crossing it over to the right side, stretching out the left hip and IT band. Perhaps gaze turns to the left. Returning leg to the center. And once again, taking a moment to stretch that hamstring. Maybe trying to bring the foot closer to the face. Knowing this is still early in the practice. Releasing the leg down to the floor. Taking a moment to point and flex the toes. Soles of the feet to the mat. On our inhale, we raise the hips towards the sky. Exhale, we turn down to the mat. Inhale, hips to the sky. Exhale, return to the mat. Inhale, peel the back off, hips to the sky. Holding here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Releasing back to the mat. Once again, bringing knees into chest, starting to rock and roll. Using the abs. Maybe catching some time at the top on your sits bones. Meeting and seated. Taking a moment to get comfortable here. The seated position, cross-legged, is not a comfortable space for you. Feel free to sit on a pillow, extend the legs, sit on your heels. Inhaling, arms up to the sky. Exhaling, twisting to the right. Inhaling, returning to center. Exhaling, twisting to the left. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, right. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, left. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, right. This time we stay. Feeling this twist in the top of our back. Feeling like the shoulder blades are pulling together. Toning the belly. Allowing breath to move freely. Inhaling, returning to center. Exhaling, twisting to the left. Again, holding here. Again, feeling the shoulder blades contracting together. Belly is toned. Breath moving freely. Inhaling, returning to center. Exhaling, bending to the right, dropping right arm to mat. Inhaling, returning center. Exhaling, bending left, dropping left arm or hand to the mat. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, bending right. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, bending left. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, bending right. This time we stay. You can drop to the forearm or keep your right arm extended. Whatever feels nicest for your body. Just think about opening the chest up towards the ceiling. Inhaling back to center, exhaling, dropping to the left. Once again, either to your forearm or to your hand. Feeling like you are rolling the right shoulder back up to the sky. Making sure your right hip remains planted to the floor. Returning to center. Hands come to knees. Inhaling, extending the collarbones forward into a seated cow. Exhaling, rounding the back into a seated cat. Inhaling, cow. Exhaling, cat. Inhaling, cow. Exhaling, cat. Coming back to a neutral position and taking a moment to roll the neck forward to your left and to your right, moving slowly and gently. If there's any sticky spots in your neck, feel free to stay there for a little longer. Allowing the head to come back to center. Placing the hands on the belly, taking 2 deep breaths. Now we make the way to the top of our mats. Standing, however is comfortable for you. We'll move through some sun salutations. Inhaling, arms extending to the sky. Exhaling, forward fold. Hands to shin, to feet to mat. Inhaling, flat back. Exhaling, stepping back to plank, holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping the knees to the mat, bending the elbows in towards the chest, letting the chest drop to the mat. Inhaling, moving into a small back bend. Baby cobra. Exhaling, forehead to mat. Inhaling, baby cobra. Exhaling, forehead to mat. Inhaling, baby cobra. Exhaling, pushing back to the knees into a child's pose. Tucking the toes, straightening the legs, pushing the hips towards the sky into downward facing dog. Breathing here, perhaps walking your feet up and down, heels to the sky, allowing those hamstrings to stretch out. Returning the feet to the top of the mat, grabbing the elbows, allowing the torso to dangle in this position, keeping a micro bend in the knees. Maybe shake your head right and your left, yes and no. Feeling ease here. Inhaling, lifting back to a standing position, arms extend to the sky. Exhaling, hands return to the side. We'll move through that sun salutation again, adding in chaturanga, an upward facing dog if that's something you'd like to do. Inhaling, arms extend to the sky. Exhaling, forward fold, hands to shins or to the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhaling, stepping back to plank, holding here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moving through your vinyasa, knees, chest, chin, or bending the elbows into chaturanga. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhaling, rolling over the toes into downward facing dog. Breathing here for 3, 2, 1. Walking the feet to the top of the mat. Inhaling, flat back. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, returning to standing, arms extend towards the sky. Exhale, returning hands to the side. Inhaling, arms extend to the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, flat back. Exhaling, stepping back to plank. Holding here. Perhaps lifting the right foot off the mat for 3, 2, 1. Returning the leg. Lifting the left foot off the mat for 3, 2, 1. Returning, dropping through your vinyasa. Chaturanga. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Inhaling, extending the right leg to the ceiling. Opening the right hip up and out to the right side, perhaps bending the knee, feeling a stretch in your hip flexors, perhaps gazing underneath your right arm. Turning the leg to center. placing the right foot in between the hands, rising up into a high lunge. Breathing here for 3, 2, 1. Leaning back into a baby back bend, feeling that stretch in your left hip flexor. Then right arm underneath left arm, moving the hands into an eagle position. Falling forward into humble warrior, hands towards the mat. Releasing the hands, framing the foot, dropping left knee to the mat. Into our Anjaneyasana. Pushing the left hip forward, interlacing fingers above the knee. Again, feeling a tiny back bend, perhaps gazing up. Breathing here. Returning hands to mat. Tucking the left toes, swinging right foot back into a downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts up towards the sky, opening the hip to the left, perhaps bending the knee. Gaze can be underneath your left arm. Coming back to neutral. Inhaling here, exhaling, moving that left leg up in between the hands, helping it as much as you need. Inhaling, coming into a high lunge. Holding here for 3, 2, 1. Extending into a mini back bend, feeling this stretch in the hip flexor. Coming back towards center, wrapping left arm underneath the right arm into eagle arms, falling towards the mat. Into humble warrior. Releasing that bind, hands framing the foot, dropping right knee to the mat. Untucking the toes, leaning forward into that right hip, interlacing hands on top of left knee, pushing forward if that's comfortable. Hands can also stay on the mat if this is not an easy place for you. Maybe you gaze towards the ceiling. Releasing hands to mat. Tucking the right toes. Swinging the left foot back into downward facing dog. Inhaling, right leg lifts up towards the ceiling. Exhaling, foot comes between hands. Spiraling open into warrior 2. Staying here for 3, 2, 1. Straightening that front foot. Flipping the palms. Exhaling, bending towards the back of your mat. Inhaling, coming back to center. Bending that front leg. Exhaling, coming into a side angle. Keeping the torso lifted, engaging those abs. Inhaling, coming back to center. Exhaling, straightening the front leg, bringing toes to this parallel with your back toes. Moving into our eagle arms again. Right arm binds under the left, perhaps catching your hands at the top. Toes point outwards, dropping into a goddess squat. Coming back up. Exhaling, goddess squat. Inhale, lifting. Exhaling, goddess squat. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, goddess squat. This time perhaps the torso comes parallel to the floor. Feeling a stretch in those hip flexors. Inhaling, coming back to center. One last squat. Inhaling, coming back to center. Releasing the arms. Left foot faces forward now. Turning the right foot in. Inhaling, we bend towards the back of the mat. Exhaling, bending the right or the left leg into a side angle. Torso stays up. Using those abs to remain upright. Inhaling, exhaling, coming out of that, straightening the front leg. We'll do our eagle bind on the other arm, left arm underneath the right arm. We'll move into our goddess squats again, turning the toes out. Inhaling here, exhaling, bending the knees. Inhaling, extending. Exhaling, bending the knees. Inhale, extending. Exhaling, bending the knees. Exhaling, bending the knees. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, bending the knees. Again, taking the torso parallel to the ground, if that is comfortable for you. Stretching out the inner thighs, building some good strength. Inhaling, returning to center. Releasing the arms. Turning the toes back in so that they are parallel. We trace our legs with our fingers as we drop towards the ground. Stretching the hamstrings. Hands can come beneath the head. Maybe bending and straightening the knees here so as not to overextend. Standing into a flat back. Hands come underneath the face. Inhaling, reaching up towards the ceiling with the right hand. Twisting. Exhaling, returning back. Inhaling, raising the left arm, extending and twisting towards the sky. Exhale, returning to center. Inhaling, twisting with the right arm. Exhaling, returning to center. Inhaling, twisting with the left arm. Exhale, returning to center. Once again, falling into this deep forward fold. Perhaps this time grabbing the elbows or interlacing the fingers behind the back, stretching out the shoulders. Releasing the hands to the mat. Hands on the hips, rising back to a standing position. Just heel toe the feet in. Taking a moment here to steady the breath. Moving into tree pose. Lifting the right leg off the mat. Turning the hip out, placing the sole of the foot, the shin on the thigh, just not the knee. Hands can come to heart center. Woo. It's okay if you fall over. Taking deep breaths here. Releasing the foot to the mat. Other side. Inhaling the left foot off the ground. Turning the hip out, placing the sole of the foot on the calf or on the thigh, just not the knee. Again, finding some balance here. Taking deep breaths. Releasing the left foot to the ground, shaking out the legs, and coming to seated, however is most comfortable for you. Keeping the legs crossed, inhaling arms up towards the ceiling. Exhaling, dropping to a forward fold in the seated position, walking the hands forward. Walking the hands over to the right, stretching our side bodies. Walking the hands back to the center, and then to the left. Inhaling, walking hands to the center, coming back to an upright position. We'll do the same with our feet in cobbler's pose or butterfly. Inhaling, arms extend towards the ceiling. Exhaling, hinging forward from the hips, stretching out those hip flexors. Walking hands over to the right. Feeling how different a stretch this is. Walking hands to center, then over to the left. Walking hands to center. Returning to an upright position. Extending legs forward. Inhaling, arms up to the sky. Exhaling, hinging forward from the hips into a forward fold. breathing here. Maybe keeping a mini bend in your legs. Coming back to seated. Finding your way to your back on the mat. Moving through some final bridge poses. Inhaling, lifting the hips off the mat. Exhaling, returning hips to mat. Inhaling, hips lift to the sky. Exhaling, returning hips. Inhaling, hips to the sky. Exhaling, returning the hips to the mat. Inhaling here. Exhaling, bringing the knees to the chest, squeezing. Inhaling, releasing those knees a little bit. Exhaling, squeezing them in again. Inhaling, releasing those knees. Last time, squeezing the knees in towards the chest. Then releasing into our final resting pose. Allowing the body to sink into the mat. Letting go of any breath practices you might have been employing. Simply be. If you have a blanket nearby, sometimes it's nice to put one under your knees. Shavasana, if Shavasana is not an easy place for you, consider doing a body scan starting at the top of your head and checking in with each body part all the way down to your toes, remembering to breathe. Feel free to stay here for as long as you'd like. If you feel ready, start to wriggle the fingers and toes. Bringing knees in towards the chest, rolling to your right side into a fetal position. Pressing up into a seated posture. Maybe placing a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly. And give yourself some love here. Expressing gratitude for yourself, for the many people in your life who show you love and caring. Remembering this feeling is always available for you. One final deep breath. And releasing our practice. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I hope to talk to you real soon.